Hello everyone. So let us see how certain phytoconstituents like limonene, okay, they can be analyzed using the various spectroscopical techniques like IR, NMR, and then mass spectroscopy. Okay, how this particular phytoconstituent behaves when all these radiations, in case of IR it is infrared radiation, okay, in case of mass we bombard the compound with the highly energetic electron beam, in case of NMR we bombard the compound with radio waves. Okay, so what happens to this compound and how their IR spectrum, NMR spectrum and mass spectrum is recorded. Okay, these things we will learn. So let us quickly start with UV, the simplest technique, where the UV radiations, okay, are bombarded onto the sample. And we know here that for any compound to absorb UV radiations, the minimum diene system, okay, conjugated diene like 1,3-butadiene. Okay, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4. All so such conjugated diene system has to be there, and it has base value 217 nanometers. Okay, so definitely we do not see conjugated diene system over here, so we can expect the peak or peak for limonene, which could be lesser than 217. Okay, in IR radiations we know that we work on the stretching and bending vibrations. Okay, stretching and bending vibrations, where in simple words, let me tell you, using IR we can identify the various functional groups which are present in any compound. Okay, so if this is limonene, and if on the limonene I am bombarding the IR radiations, so what will happen? What kind of peaks will be obtained? So if I see the structure of limonene, and if I want to analyze it using IR, I can see there is C single bond C. I can see in limonene C double bond C is also there. I can see CH bond is there. So definitely all these peaks will be appearing. Like this peak will appear in the double bond region of the IR spectrum. So if you remember, if you can recollect, in my earlier video also I have explained that the IR spectrum is the percent transmittance versus wave number. Okay, wave number which is centimeter inverse, and these all are the deep down curves. Now in this IR spectrum, the two parts are functional group region, which is 1500 to 4000 centimeter inverse, and below 1500 centimeter inverse it is the fingerprint region. Okay, now the presence of C single bond C stretching, okay, or maximum times the C single bond C are the all bending vibrations. Okay, so presence of C single bond C bending is confirmed by the appearance of peak in this region, appearance of peak around 1000 centimeter inverse. So we may see many peaks here in the fingerprint region, which is the crowded region, usually full of all bending vibrations. Okay, then comes the C double bond C stretching. So the C double bond C stretching, presence of C double bond C is confirmed by appearance of peak in this region, usually which is closer to 1600 to 1700 centimeter inverse. And then what remains in the limonene, that is the CH bond, which is usually the CH stretching around 3000 centimeter inverse. To be very precise, it could be from 2900 to 3010 centimeter inverse. Okay, so now let us see how this 1H NMR spectrum helps us to identify limonene. Now 1H NMR spectrum helps us in identifying number of hydrogens present in any compound. From 1H NMR spectrum we also understand location of these hydrogens. That means what? position of hydrogen. That means this hydrogen is attached to carbon, or if this hydrogen is attached to any electronegative element, or this hydrogen is attached to such carbon who has a double bond closer to it, or this carbon is part of the aromatic compound. Okay, so it is whether it is allylic, whether it is benzylic hydrogen. So all this information we get from the NMR spectrum. In addition to that, multiplicity of the NMR peaks helps us in understanding the number of hydrogens present on the adjacent carbons. Okay, so this is the type of information we get from the 1H NMR spectrum. Now let us see very specifically how the NMR spectrum of limonene will look like. So basically, number of hydrogens means the number of sets of chemically equivalent hydrogens. So what is chemically equivalent hydrogen? Means they are the hydrogens which are present in the same chemical environment. Okay, now here if you see, these three hydrogens are attached to the carbon, and these three are in same chemical environment. So this is one set of the hydrogens. So I will denote this set as HA, and this HA represents three hydrogens. Okay, this is the another set HB, which has only one hydrogen into it. The third set HC, this carbon again it has one hydrogen, so this is HD, this is HE, F, let us say G and H. So there are 8 sets of chemically equivalent hydrogens. Okay, that means what? That means in NMR spectrum of this particular compound limonene, there will be 8 peaks. And how does this NMR spectrum look like? On x-axis it is the delta scale. Okay, at 0 delta value there is a peak for TMS. TMS is nothing but the internal standard of choice used in NMR analysis, which is tetramethylsilane. Okay, so the scale goes up to 10 or up to 12. Okay, and this x-axis has all the chemical shift values whose unit is ppm. So this means in this NMR spectrum there will be 8 peaks appearing. So number of peaks will tell me the number of sets of chemically equivalent protons present in any particular compound. Okay, now each peak is corresponding to a particular chemical shift value. That chemical shift value depends on the neighborhood of that particular proton. So for example, I have these. Okay, so here I have these ring CH2s with me, these CH2s. Okay, that is HC, HE and HF. So these hydrogens, okay, their peaks will be appearing around 2 to 2.4 ppm. Okay, because they are present in the form of ring. So based on neighborhood, see, all of them are CH2, CH2, CH2 only. Even this is CH2, but why this CH2 is not appearing in this range? Because this CH2 has double bond adjacent to it. Okay, and because of this CH2 will appear around 4.5 ppm on the x-axis. Okay, so that is the chemical shift value for this particular proton. Now next is the CH proton, which is present. See, here also CH proton is there, here also one hydrogen is there. These are also again the part of ring.
So ring CH protons, that is the protons of this cyclohexene ring, okay, they will be appearing around 5.5 to 6 ppm. This is the chemical shift value. Then we can see this CH3 over here, okay, even CH3 is here. So this CH3 which is attached to the ring, that is cyclohexene ring, this CH3 appears around 1.8 ppm, whereas this terminal CH3, okay, which is little far from the ring, okay, but it has this CH2 adjacent to it, this will appear around 1.5 ppm. Okay, so what we have understood from here, in the NMR spectrum all peaks represent hydrogen, okay, each peak here represent hydrogen. The intensity of peak means height of peak will tell me how many protons are represented by that particular peak, okay. For example, the highest peak means 3 hydrogens are represented, the smaller peak means maybe this is representing 2 hydrogens, still smaller peak it is representing 1 hydrogen, okay. And in NMR peaks are not in this line form, they are either singlet or they are doublet or they are triplet or they are quartet. So this is the multiplicity of each peak, this is one peak, okay, which is called as quartet. Again this is one peak which is called as doublet, this is one peak which is called as triplet. So each peak here is splitting because of the protons which are present on the adjacent carbon. So that detail I am not giving over here, for that you can refer to my other video which is specially on the NMR.
So let us quickly see what happens in the mass spectrum. As I have told you in my earlier video of mass spectroscopy, that in mass spectroscopy the compound which is in gaseous form, that gaseous compound is injected into the instrument, then there is high energetic electron beam present in the instrument. That highly energetic electron beam collides onto this sample molecule and it removes the loosely bound electron from the molecule. So this electron which I have shown here, that is the electron representing the highly energetic electron beam of the instrument, okay, and it is removing any one of the loosely bound electron. So here I can see pi bonds in the structure, and from these pi bonds the electrons can be removed easily, okay. So it may happen that one of the electron is removed from this pi bond. So if that is happening, that means, see, each bond is made up of 2 electrons, right? So if I draw this structure in this way, rest everything is at its place, okay, all these are at their own places, and here say this bond is made up of these 2 electrons, and let us assume that this electron is gone. So if that electron is gone, means here there is deficiency of 1 electron which I am showing by this charge, okay, this, and here the electron is retained, okay, this electron is retained and this electron is gone, okay. So deficiency I have shown by the charge. Now further the heterolytic cleavage will occur here between different bonds for the further fragmentation, okay. It depends on the energy of this electron beam, which is usually 10 to 70 electrovolts, okay. So this much energy first removes the loosely bound electron, and then further energy passes through all the bonds, and then this fragmentation occurs. So if you can see here, the molecular weight or mass of this particular ion is 136.24, and this is the molecular ion of this particular compound. Now further fragmentation, which I have shown here using these half arrows. So these half arrows I am showing for representing homolytic cleavage, okay, homolytic cleavage. So now what will happen to this molecule further? Okay, positive charge is here, this CH3 is here, CH2 and this CH2, this bond, and this is the fragment which is formed. Okay, and this fragment has the mass of 68.06. okay, the m by z value of this fragment is 68.06, and this I have got after considering carbon as 12.0107 and hydrogen as 1.00784. okay, so 4 digits after point I have considered, and the second part of this particular molecule is this. Okay, and since this part doesn't have any charge, okay, it is the radical or the neutral molecule. See, after joining this becomes the neutral molecule. So this neutral molecule that is removed out of the instrument. Okay, that is not reaching to the detector. Now further fragmentation is also possible for this particular fragment. This fragment F1 plus can further undergo fragmentation by homolytic cleavage at this particular bond. Okay, so if that is happening, then the further fragment ion, that is my F2 plus which is there, that F2 plus would look like this: CH positive charge or radical. Okay, and this is the CH3 which is there, and along with this CH2, that is the neutral molecule which is formed. Okay, and this second fragment, no, it will again have its m by z value as 40.06. okay, you can see here. Now it may happen that instead of this pi bond, the electron at first place, at first step, the electron is removed from this pi bond. That also may happen. So in that case, the molecular ion, okay, it will look like this. It will look like this. Okay, and maybe the fragmentation will happen over here. So the further fragment which is formed, further fragment ion which is formed is like this. Okay, and this will have again its, yes, this has its m by z value. This molecular, this is also molecular ion, it has its m by z value as 136.24. okay, same as that of this. Okay, and then this further fragment which is formed, this fragment has m by z value of 121.2057. okay, and here in this process this one is gone, no, see, so that is CH3 radical. So this is the radical which is formed. Such radicals and neutral molecules, they are not detected by the detector. Okay, even further this molecule can undergo fragmentation using homolytic cleavage here, and further fragments will be formed, and wherever there is charge, the fragment which is having charge with it, that is the fragment ion, and only those fragment ions will be detected by the detector. Okay, and the peak will appear at the respective m by z value. So here in this case the fragment which is formed is like this. Okay, and charge is here. Okay, so that is double bond can be formed over here, CH2 CH2. So this fragment ion, again this will have m by z value around 53.0898. okay, so in such a way there are so many possibilities, you know, for these fragmentation by the homolytic cleavage. Now here you may ask why the charge has to be here, why charge cannot be here if I am removing one of the electron from this bond. So yes, that is also possible. Okay, so that I can show like this, okay, like this, and rest of the structure as it is. See, it may happen in this way. So this is the molecular ion in that case, which will have again the m by z value as 136.24, and this will then further undergo fragmentation by the homolytic cleavage at multiple places. Okay, so basically what I am trying to explain you over here is, in case of mass spectrometry, okay, whatever fragments you have seen, fragment ions, okay, only ions are getting detected over here. Whatever fragment ions are formed, whatever molecular ions are formed, they have their own m by z value. This m by z value is nothing but mass of that particular ion, because z stands for charge, okay, which is always 1. So m by z is nothing but mass of that particular ion. So the peak will appear here at the respective m by z value. What is the mass spectrum? Mass spectrum is percent relative abundance versus m by z value. So many m by z values we have seen here. See, we have seen here 121, we have seen m by z coming as 136, we have seen m by z coming as 68, we have seen m by z coming as 40. So whatever are the ions detected by the detector, okay, their peak will appear over here. Okay, so I will get peak at 121, I will get peak at 40, I will get peak at 136, I will get peak at 68. So many peaks will be seen as line. So we call it as line spectra. Okay, so in the mass spectrum of limonene, we can expect peaks at various m by z values, like 136.24, which is the molecular ion peak. Then we can expect 121.20 peak at 121.20. We can expect peak at 68.06. We can expect peak at 53.034, 54.089, then 40.063. So at all these m by z values, the peak can appear in case of limonene. And if you can note over here, all the ions have been formed by homolytic cleavage only. Okay, so that was all about the mass spectrum of limonene. Yes, the last point is, you may ask, what about the height of all these peaks? Some are shorter, some are longer. So this height, that is the intensity of peak, decides how many such molecules or such ions are formed in the particular fragmentation process. More the number of those particular ions, if more number of these fragment ions are formed, then definitely I'll get a sharper peak at 121. Okay, because this molecular ion, 136.24 is the molecular ion. This is continuously breaking down to form all these fragments. Okay, if I am using harsh technique of ionization, then the complete breakdown or complete fragmentation will occur for the molecular ion, and finally no molecular ion will remain to reach to the detector. So in that case, this 136 wala peak will be very smaller, or it may not be there if the harsh technique of ionization is used. Rest other principles of mass spectrometry, fragmentation, comparison of UV, NMR, IR, everything you will find in one of the videos on my channel. So keep watching. I hope you have enjoyed the session.